My relationship with my boyfriend changed overnight after moving in. I have been with my BF for almost 2 years. It started off amazing. We moved in together 2 months ago and it's plummeted so fast. A day after moving in, he caused a scene at an outing. I told him I didn't like how he handled it and he proceeded to tell me I need to be on his side no matter what. I tried to explain that I will back him in public but in private I will share my thoughts. He told me it's all or nothing with him and I need to decide if I'm going to stay with him or if I'm going to leave. As if I didn't just sign a lease and move everything yesterday. He forgave me for not agreeing with him but proceeded to stay angry for a couple days. A few days later we had tickets to a show and he had a cigar on him, knowing there's no smoking and we will be getting checked. Security said throw it or leave. He just turned around to go, no discussion, nothing. A quick sorry later on but nothing else. I'd be so apologetic. And I had planned the whole thing myself. A few times I had emergencies come up and cancelled plans but I had to make it up. Like making up hours at work. Meanwhile I haven't been taken out to dinner in so long, and I cannot remember the last time he made plans for just us. One time I didn't want to make out with him because I had a cold and I was self-conscious. He hardly talked to me for 2 days and said I made him feel rejected and if I don't want to be around him, he can go sleep somewhere else. But that's taking it so far, Imo. He has a good heart but I have seen a side that is so punishing, and rigid. And it all happened so fast. This is just part of it. My question. Does anyone have advice on how to deal with highly sensitive partners? How to diffuse or word how you feel in gentle ways? Is it common for your partner to be more irritable after moving in? He started off so masculine and strong and I feel like it switched and I'm dealing with a man who is constantly upset, who takes everything personally, who needs to be doted on unconditionally, and if it's not that way, the house is quiet with silent treatment until I step aside to apologize. Comment. I feel like he's not bothering to hide it anymore because notice how the things he's doing are in public. So basically it isn't that his mask is slipping in private now that they are spending extra time together. No, he thinks because she moved in with him, he can act however the fuck he wants and she is trapped there with him. Exactly, Op even mentions in her post that she signed the lease. Op, please, you need to figure a way out of this. He knows you feel trapped / locked in, whatever. He isn't going to get better, he will get worse. The sooner you can remove yourself from this situation, better you will fare. Obviously once he knows you are leaving he may straighten up for a little bit, but that will be short-lived. If he wasn't this person he wouldn't be acting this way. Believe that this is who he is and you do not deserve his abusive behavior. Stop trying to tiptoe and appease him. Start planning an out. Love yourself enough to fight for you. How to diffuse or word how you feel in gentle ways. This is not an issue of having a sensitive partner. You feel like you're walking eggshells because you have an explosively reactive partner. Security said throw it or leave. He just turned around to go. This was planned. He knew it would be found and it was an excellent excuse, for him, to avoid your concert. See how well that worked out for him. He's a bull in a china shop, unapologetically leaving disaster in his wake, leaving you to pick up the pieces. Not to mention the pity parties he pitches when you rejected him once or had to cancel plans. It sounds like that now that you've moved in together, he needs to browbeat you into his subservient partner. He couldn't care less about Op's feelings or rights. A life with this guy will be a nightmare. He's immature for 35. Wants to sneak in a cigar into a no-smoking venue, inconsiderate of others who don't want to be exposed to that crap, thinking rules are for thee and not for me, and when caught acts like a child. And punishes Op for daring to not agree with his juvenile behavior in public. Op better be prepared to be constantly embarrassed when they are out, as he sounds like a real peach. He's abusing you. He ruined your planned outing on purpose. He knows what he's doing and he feels he's justified in it. He enjoys it. Even this will not get better. I can say this because I was an abuser. He will have unending triggers that will anger him and you'll apologize for, because of course it was your fault for triggering me. There will be new rules all the time that you must follow, or guess what, you are to blame for him being angry. The issues here are not you, they are absolutely his. But unless he's willing to first acknowledge the problem then commit himself to a plan of therapy, you are in a situation. You either accept these abusive outbursts and hope they get better, they won't, he gets help, or you leave. The incident where he was mad at you is where it started. You showed that you were willing to take his abuse, so he'll do it again. And again. He'll ruin vacations, birthdays, special events and anything else that he chooses to get upset about. And there will be a lot anything special to you, not so special to him. This is not a life you want. I've seen what it does to women, not just my own partners but family and friends as well. So many that when you start seeing the pattern you pretty much know the game plan. Find a way out safely. Yep. I've dated a guy like this. He's not highly sensitive, lol. He's controlling and manipulating. Abusers don't start out hitting their victims, they start with tiny things that hurt their partners and establish control. For example, he didn't want to go to the concert, brought an item that would get him refused entry, and Tata, is forced to not attend to pacify him. She's already on here looking for gentle ways to talk to him because he can't be trusted to have an adult conversation. Guys like this only escalate. Not but for me personally I was like this with my first long-term girlfriend. The only way to handle guys like this is to dump them. It's what I needed, and it saved me from myself. At that point you reach a crossroads. To continue down the shitty path, or to become a new, better person. It takes a long time. There's a lot to figure out as a human being. Who are you? How do you make yourself better? How do you deal with feelings of inadequacy? How do you forgive your past mistakes? I have met several guys who have succumbed to these demons. I find men usually continue down that dark path, or completely switch and change as people. I don't know what percentage make it out. But the only way to really achieve that introspection, in my experience, is to be pushed to the brink. Story 2. How do I make the relationship with the mother of my kids work? I think the title makes it clear, that we are unfortunately not on best terms anymore, and I'm in desperate need for some good advice. A bit of background. We got to know each other while I was still in school at 17 years while she was 25. We have 3 kids, 8, 6 and 4, the first one was not planned. It wasn't easy because at 20 years old I was in no way expecting or ready to be a father, but she was already 29 and said she wanted to keep our daughter, and not being in the picture was no possibility for me at all. So we thought we'd go through with it cause both of us always wanted kids and we didn't want them too far apart, since both of us grew up with siblings near our age and enjoyed that immensely. Since we moved back to her hometown 700 kilometers away from my family, I asked my parents to loan me my inheritance so I can buy us a small home, and I thought we'd live happily ever after. We always had our ups and downs, but it feels like it has been a steady decline for years. As you can guess, I feel like I did everything I could to make our relationship work, but it seems to be too little all the time. There is always some big problem. Recently it often is my job as a doctor, which obviously isn't a very family-friendly one with all the night shifts and weekends. But it does earn decent, and we live a financially comfortable life with 3 healthy kids, in our own home right next to her parents, with just enough money to go on vacations. I try to make the time I'm away up as well as I can, taking the kids swimming/climbing or whatever, so she gets some downtime as well. I feel like we have everything we could need to have an incredibly happy life, but there is always some big problem. Yesterday I came home at 9 a.m. from a horrible night shift, and after eating and getting myself ready I took care of the kids. Even though I was so tired I slept in car during my daughter's dance practice. She went to take a bath at 5 p.m. cause she wasn't feeling well and came after I had brought the kids to bed. This is not our normal day obviously, but not in any way unfrequent, and shows, I think, that I really try to support her and give her some free time because I understand how incredibly stressful having 3 little kids can be. But there is hardly a single day she doesn't snap at me for some little things, and often enough it becomes a full-on fight because she literally won't stop repeating it at least 10 times. Most of the time I try to apologize, and will try to calm her down, but after hearing eloquently for 10 minutes on end how infuriating it is that I hung up the dishcloth the wrong way, or shelved the kids' clothes with the wrong kid when I did laundry, I snap as well and we have a really nasty fight. I tried to take all her yelling for literally years, thinking if we get over this one bad phase it will get better, but by now I'm becoming more and more angry towards her as well. And even worse towards the kids. I love them dearly with all my heart, but have become more and more strict with them, having less patience each year even though they are really the best kids anyone could hope to have, and it's breaking my heart. This is obviously very one-sided. I get that she has a lot of stress taking care of the kids, while even working a home office job for 15 hours, and me being away every other day. She does an absolutely fantastic job at that, and I'm no saint of course. I have a big problem with remembering dates, for example. I try to write everything in my calendar, but if she wouldn't remind me there probably would have been quite a few missed playdates for our kids by now. She could probably write a paragraph as long as mine about all the other things, but I can honestly say I try my best. Still, we have grown so distant over the years, and I think it's for a big part because of the constant fighting. I don't know how to deal with it. It don't feel like being in a relationship at all anymore. I want a partner, and try to be that for her, be an emotional support as well, when she needs to vent. But the other way is unheard of. If I'm having a bad day, there's guaranteed to be a fight. I feel like I don't get any emotional support. I know this sounds drastic, but I honestly believe she, for example, couldn't even tell you what I do at work. It has pretty much become unbearable for both of us. But I don't have the energy anymore to fight even further for us. The reason I'm renting here is because I can't really tell anyone else. I don't want to tell my family, so they don't have any hard feelings towards her. We hardly see them anymore anyways. To anyone suggesting to just break up, I can't imagine a life where I don't see my kids every day, and breaking up is pretty financially impossible as well. Comment. Dude, I'm pretty sure you were groomed at 17 by a 25-year-old. If you can prove that, I'm sure custody could be arranged in your favor. I wouldn't want my children being raised by someone who literally went after a teen in high school in their mid-20s. She sounds mentally unwell. You probably are too old for her now, so she doesn't really care. I don't want to invalidate the fact you clearly love your wife. I am absolutely positive that she has some wonderful qualities, is good with the kids, is often intelligent and kind. I am also absolutely positive that, without applying a label that may or may not be helpful at this point, that your relationship appears to have started and continued firmly on an unfair and hurtful level of expectation on you. Do you have daughters? How would you feel if she pursued and was pursued by a 25-year-old and had a baby? Would you feel that a 17-year-old and a 25-year-old should or could fairly share equal responsibilities in an adult relationship? It sounds like, no matter what beautiful things you've built together, there is still an unfair level of expectation directed at you. Being berated every day is not acceptable behavior from a partner. Period. Being expected to bear your own negative emotions while taking the full brunt of your partner's is not acceptable. And guess what? You do not have to be a perfect partner to deserve respect and kindness. You can mess up a lot actually, and still deserve basic decency. Your relationship, from what you've written, which I get is just a rant, does not sound like it brings you joy. I can't tell you what to do, but I'd urge you to evaluate the expectations for what you bring to the table emotionally, from the very beginning of your relationship. First of all, I'm sorry, for you both. It's never easy when you feel that you can't talk with your significant other. Have you expressed this in a calm way to her? I know, easier said than done. If so and she hasn't listened or changed, try to frame it as a problem that is both of your faults and is going out over both your relationship and the kids. It is usually pretty important that the other part don't feel like the blame is solely on them when you talk about stuff like this. If so, they will go in defense mode and then you can't talk to them properly. This is something you need to fix together, not as two separate parts alone. I don't know exactly how you feel, of course, but I have sometimes found myself angry with my partner over long periods of time too. Almost feeling like she's against me, and oftentimes, as long as either me or her takes it up in a way that doesn't put the blame directly on the other person, we often find that the other person feels the same, when in reality it's no one's intention to make the other person feel that way. Also, we all have stuff that we fail to do that our partner doesn't like. Like you said, often small stuff like putting stuff in the wrong place or forgetting to clean the toilet after taking a dump. That's my thing. I can't seem to ever remember checking how it looks after I've done number 2 lol, but it's much more important that we get positive feedback when we do the stuff right for one's sake, than when we do stuff wrong. You need to tell her that. Otherwise you will continue to have spite against each other, because all you will get in return from trying will be negative. Hope this can offer some kind of help.